On the rolling lap here in IAME Cadet at Fulbeck, Alicia Barrett will not take the start of the final, and she has no idea why. Already things have turned nasty for her. Harry Thompson and Joseph Taylor on the front row of the grid, though, from the C-plate, Johnny Wilkinson and Reggie Dewey alongside. O'Sullivan, Dimitrov, Denny, Reese, Breakanili and Max Dodds rounding out the top 10. That is as competitive a top 10 going into this race as you can possibly imagine. Alex Simmons is in the mix too, so too Joshua Rattican, and interestingly as well, towards the back, we've got the likes of Van Napton, Taylor Barnard on the very back row in the GP plate alongside Leonardo Paniutu. So this could be an interesting one. Away we go, down the straight for the first time. It's already getting close to the front end. Reggie Dewey getting boxed in behind the Fusion trio. He'll have to go the long way round, and that's two of them off. Lindblad is gone, so too is Jamie Mead. Two carts dispensed into the kiddie litter at turn one, and a few more bouncing over the grass on the way down to the chicane for the first time. But that is Arvid Lindblad's race over. Jamie Mead likewise. A real shame for both of those drivers.
We still see loading in evidence in the cadet classes because the detachable nose cones that we have in the other classes that will give an instant 10-second penalty if it's pushed backwards. If you've run into someone or run into anything, in fact, you get an automatic 10-second penalty. Those nose cones are not in evidence in the cadet classes yet. John Hoyle, the organiser at Super 1, did want to introduce them this year. For whatever reason, the MSA decided not to allow that, and we still see the loading in the cadet classes. Johnny Wilkinson there, the C plate, just saw him on screen. Race winner last time at Buckmore Park for the first time at Super 1. Another great overall view of the race action. You see the three leaders starting to pull a little bit of a gap as they come down through the bus stop into the square left, out to the hairpin. Another overtaking opportunity. 52, Zach O'Sullivan right in the mix. He's the leading rookie.
Well, this is an interesting day potentially for Harry Thompson. He might pull a Michael Schumacher here. It's July, and if he wins this race, he will be the national champion. That's how good a season Harry Thompson is having. It's close as you like, would you believe? But Johnny Wilkinson, the C-plate right on his tail, could deny him getting the championship sewn up this time out if he gets past him. But all Thompson has to do is sit at the head of this train, continue to do what he's doing, and he will win the championship before we've even got to August. There's not many people who can say they've done that. As up the inside, a nice little move there from Leonardo Paniutu. He's having a great run here, and he's taking Barnard with him, the GP plate. Both of those two drivers coming from the back end of the grid, the last row of the grid, in fact, and they're going through the field together.
Yeah, bear in mind we show the top 30 on the grid. There are actually 34 taking part, so there would have been four names that you wouldn't have seen there. Joe Sheppy, Max B, Kayaski is on the move, and Josh McLean, the four right at the back of the field.
There's a lot of drivers moving their way up through the field as well. In fact, the couple that were starting towards the back, trying to move their way forward. I saw Alex Dunn and Harrison Skinner getting a couple of overtaking moves a lap or so ago. And Akila Levi as well, the South African, one of the new names at Fusion for this latter part of the Super 1 series. He looks like he's got a few moves in him as well. So many talented drivers in IAME Cadet this year, and there's another one. Tyler Reed makes the move on the inside there of the 63, so unfortunately Oliver Gray has moved down a position, 3 into 1 of the chicane. That almost got messy behind the top three, so a great little squabble there behind our leaders. And just look how close it is. We're still a few laps into this one, and it is a very even contest. They could still go anybody's way in the mix here as they go up to the ankle, through the toe, and then up again to the heel and back onto the main straight again. It's great to be back at Fulbeck. Back to the front, Thompson, one hand on the championship trophy in this race. That is how brilliant he's been this year. The C-plate Wilkinson in second place though, and charging hard.
Zach O'Sullivan in third place, one of the most impressive drivers this season as a rookie. Absolutely amazing series of performances he's been putting in. That was Reggie Dewey as we looked at him. He's on the 66 there in fourth place. Not had the best weekend as Reggie Dewey. He's been involved in some issues, and it could result in some problems for him moving forward. That's Matthew Reese there in fifth place.
I'll agree with that about Zach O'Sullivan. He's been very strong indeed, and it's always good to see these youngsters gaining their stride. And I can genuinely see Zach O'Sullivan getting the Championship 1 next season the way he's going. He's got a very, very cool head. He's got a mature young body to work his way through the grid there on the kart. He seems to handle himself with a lot of confidence for his lack of experience. This is a kid who's going places, and considering he's running very confidently and very ably up at the front with the likes of Thompson, Wilkinson and co, this kid's going somewhere.
Yeah, it is very rare to see a rookie come in this particular class particularly and do so well, but it's been very impressive indeed. That's the 15, Kayaski. He's one of those drivers I mentioned before who started down in the bottom 4. He's not in the bottom 4 now. That's Joseph Taylor. He's in 6th place on the 6 kart for Fusion Motorsport, but he's got a bit of a gap to make up.
Yep, unfortunately Dan Bolton being got the better of there by Kayaski. Several drivers making the move there. That's a trio of AIMs getting in the wars there. The number 10 leading the way, Bray Keneally. I'm surprised to see Bray Keneally down in, what is that, 7th or 8th position. He's not had the greatest of runs here at Fulbeck. It's 7th place at the moment, but he's got quite a few drivers he would have wanted to have been in front of up the road. This is the battle for 7th position, led by Bray Keneally with Josh Rattican and Alex Simmons in tow, and they're going to have to work together to get towards the top 6.
Joshua Rattican has just joined IAME Motorsport in the last month or so. Was driving for KMS, but has switched teams recently. You call it AIM, Jake. I always call it AIM. I keep forgetting to ask Dan Hart, is it AIM or AIM?
It's as it's spelt, Alan. That's how it's...
So it's AIM.
Well, it could be AIM. I'm just messing with it. As up the inside, Rattican moves up into 7th position and moves up to the helm of that little battle. They're still trying to gain ground on Joe Taylor, but there is Johnny Wilkinson getting quite strong on the attack of Harry Thompson. Now, this is a critical moment because Harry Thompson is a bit like a Wimbledon tennis player. He's got match point here, and it's up to Wilkinson to try and stop his charge. Several times in a tennis match, you'll see the top player close to getting it done, and occasionally they'll crack under the pressure. If he can get this done, Wilkinson, if he can make the move on Harry Thompson and stop him from taking the championship here, well, you never know. There might just be an opportunity. If Thompson has a bad meeting or two, he might just have an opportunity to get back in the tow. It's not going to be easy, but there's just one final chance as far as Wilkinson is concerned, and that is get ahead of Thompson, stop him from winning.
And the thing about Johnny Wilkinson is he took the win at Buckmore Park with a very opportunistic move when the Battenberg flag came out. Brilliant move, in fact. That will have given him more confidence. Plus, the other thing is, does he understand, we've said this before, does he understand what the dynamic is at the moment? He's sitting second. He can throw one up the inside. Now, he's still in the championship right at in the leading positions, so he doesn't want to throw it off the circuit, but he knows that he can throw one up the inside of Harry Thompson, and it doesn't make sense for Thompson to fight him too hard. He doesn't want to be taken out. He wants to finish the championship right here and now. He doesn't want to go to the final round. If he finishes this championship, he can then concentrate on the Honda Cadet Championship. He's also trying to win the 4-stroke championship moving forward, and there's more rounds left in the Honda Cadet Championship than there is in this one, of course.
Very true. Is up the inside. Reed makes up another place. He gets on the inside there of Bray Keneally and gets up into position once more. Back to the front. I'm really eager to see how this three-way scrap for the victory is going to play out, because of course if Wilkinson does go for broke and Thompson for whatever reason doesn't see him coming and they tangle, well, Zach O'Sullivan has got a first victory in a televised final on the offing here, and that will give him plenty to smile about as well, as Wilkinson again closes right up. Now here's Georgi Dimitrov getting into the mix as well. That is now in 7th position, Dimitrov, so running very well on the back of Joe Taylor. Still those two together fighting for 4th position, the Dewey and Reese battle, and then it is Joe Taylor in front of that man Georgi Dimitrov. There is Taylor and there's Dimitrov, so a good little scrap developing, although actually Dimitrov seems to have lost the place again. So the 23 Dimitrov has now gone back down into an 8th position, dropping again behind Rattican. 1.5 minutes to go here in this IAME Cadet race, and this is pretty much now or never time for Johnny Wilkinson if he wants to snatch a victory off the leader Harry Thompson in the O plate, who is getting an absolute barrage of pressure. Here goes Wilkinson to the inside of turn 1, and he's through. Now that is potential match point saved there by Wilkinson. It might not go the way of Harry Thompson if it stays like this, but as far as Harry Thompson is concerned, don't panic yet. You've still got time. He knows where Johnny Wilkinson is vulnerable, and he's going to go for it straight away. Thompson wants to get this done, and he's back through. Harry Thompson has got got the lead back again. Fantastic battling.
Thompson knows if he wins this race, he will have already calculated it with his team as Baker Neely makes up a place. Tyler Reid going with him.
Ooh.
And Simmons runs wide. Max Dodds takes advantage as well. Thompson will know, he will have calculated it with his team manager Dan Hazelwood, that if you win this race, Harry, you are basically the 2016 IAME Cadet MSA British champion, a title won by the likes of Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton in history, but nobody's done what he's trying to do this season, which is win the 2-stroke and 4-stroke title in the same season. That's never been done before, but he wants to get the first part done here.
And he could get it done in, let's remind ourselves, July. That would just be unbelievable to get this championship wrapped up so early in the 2016 season. The time runs down to nothing. Dewey manages to get back past Rees for 4th position, and they better keep at this, actually, as he goes back to the inside. Rees gets that 4th place back again. I guess they've both worked out, well, those three are not, we're not going to catch them, so we may as well scrap away amongst ourselves now. But now there is going to be one final lap to go. This is the last lap before potentially Harry Thompson can be crowned the champion of 2016 in the IAME Cadet British Championship for 2016. He's so close to it. Johnny Wilkinson knows that Harry Thompson has got one last chance to lose this before they go to the next round of the championship. But Thompson just wants to stand fast at the front of this pack and get it done. He's worked so hard this year. I don't know a cadet who works harder than Harry Thompson does. He is an incredible young racing driver. He's defending like crazy. He knows that Wilkinson just needs one whiff of a gap to come through. Zach O'Sullivan might get an opportunity to move into 2nd place if this continues. And still, these two battling for 4th position, Rees and Dewey. But Wilkinson's going to try one last chance to get the undercut. It's not going to happen. Harry Thompson is the 2016 British champion in the IAME Cadets for this year. Brilliant run. He has done an absolutely incredible job. Wilkinson crosses the line 2nd in front of Zach O'Sullivan. Harry knows he's the champion and he celebrates with us. Reggie Dewey in front of Matthew Rees after all that fighting from Radican Taylor, Keneally, Dimitrov and Maxwell Dodds.
How hard is it to defend around here? You know, talk us through that last lap. It's a track that you probably hasn't raced around much.
No, I just managed to adapt to it from heats before, and I just tried my hardest.
And who would you like to thank for the weekend?
I'd like to thank Fusion Motorsport, Neil and Dan, John Davis Engines for the amazing power, and my mechanic Jacob.
So Harry Thompson joins an elite club including Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton as an MSA British Cadet champion, winning IAME Cadet in 2016. Who knows where he'll end up one day. Joseph Taylor, Johnny Wilkinson, Brade Keneally and Georgie Dimitrov can scrap over 2nd place. But here at Fulbeck, we'll be back in a moment with Junior X30 coming up.